Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Today is another reprise episode, and I love a good reprise in music and in podcast form. And today's episode is a bit meta because we have a fellow podcast host, Lamark from The Fresh Movement, and this show is available wherever you get your podcasts. And at the end of this month, it is coming to an end after 8 long years. And I remember when Lamark was first starting this show as a radio show at Kingsborough Community College's radio station, WKRB. And Lamark is essentially burnt out from doing all this, and he just needs a fresh start. And it's really cool to see how far he's come, transitioning this show from a radio show to a podcast, which is not easy. And I know I come from radio too, and transitioning into this medium was not easy. You kind of have to find yourself. And Lamark also talks about his time in Atlanta and if he's feeling homesick or not, and so much more, including his cameo on Butch Queen Energy, Malcolm Smith's show. And he was also on My Little Underground a few times talking up this here show. Always good to catch up with Lamark from The Fresh Movement right here on My Little Underground. Lamark, welcome back to My Little Underground. Thank you for taking time off The Fresh Movement to come talk to me again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. There's a whole lot to talk about. And the last time we chatted about 2 years ago, you were still in New York, and you're in Atlanta. So
right.
I know we talked about like offline about you wanting to, have a change of scenery. So what prompted you to move down south to ATL?
Thank you again for having me on your platform. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I was supposed to have a job down here at a radio station. I'm not gonna say which station.
Okay.
And it just didn't go the way it was supposed to go. So that was kind of the more of me moving down here and kind of figuring that out. It just didn't work out.
When that plan kind of derailed, what was what was plan B for you? Did you have any plan B, C, D?
I mean, I had plan B, C, D, but it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be, if I'm being honest. And I kind of had to just get into my hustle mode and just figure it out. Like I was doing DoorDash, I was figuring out Uber, like I was really hustling until I wound up at this company called Icon Swim and wound up being an influencer associate for like different celebrities and influencers and stuff like that. So kind of all worked out in the long run, I guess. I wouldn't regret the experience though, because it taught me a lot about myself. And I actually how to be a man, if I'm being honest with you. So this move was a lot for me personally.
I think that's perfect for you. Influencer. What's the title? Influencer coordinator?
Influencer associate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry for my
really
dog
cool.
in the background.
No, that's cool. In my apartment, there's like 3 cats running around too.
Okay.
So I expect any minute for meows to happen.
Got you. Great.
I know the last time I went to ATL, I was at my cousin's wedding, and it was amazing. And me and my dad, my brothers were taking a stroll, right? We were walking to this restaurant called the Flying Biscuit Cafe. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I have. It's pretty dope.
Oh, it's fantastic. The best pancake I've ever had, ever.
Yeah.
But it was very LGBTQ friendly. I saw there were streets paved with rainbows and everything like that. Do you feel like that do you feel comfortable being who you are here in Atlanta as opposed to being in New York? Maybe it's not comparable, or maybe it's probably the same.
I feel like it's kind of the same. I do know that my friends and my support system is back in New York. Whereas in Atlanta, I mean, I feel like maybe it's more free down here, but it's definitely very competitive as far as the gay community and the LGBTQIA. Like sometimes we can, no shade to my brothers and sisters, we could be a lot sometimes as far as like competing, and it can be a little shady, but it's for the most part, it has been very open arms and very nice.
Is it safe to say that you're homesick?
Absolutely. I don't know if I've told you, but I definitely am moving back early June, because I've had enough. Yeah. All
right. That's kind of interesting because not a lot of people, I don't have a hard metric on it, but it seems like a lot of people love New York, and they love to see people who leave New York, who don't really, who just come in for something and then leave and then go back when it's not convenient or whatever. And then there's, rent hikes and all this stuff, but you're just New York to the core, right?
Yeah, it's mostly my family and my support system, if I'm being honest, realizing that I don't want to be 750 miles away from them for a job. Like that to me doesn't make sense personally, unless it's like a high paying job. And, and like it's for like really for my career. But I just feel like really alone sometimes here. And I think that that was my first move out of my parents' house. I think that was a stretch. Like I shouldn't have moved 750 miles away as my first move. I should have baby steps.
Yeah, I think there's an antiquated notion for people in radio or media today that you have to travel around the country to get for work.
Yeah,
I don't think that's kind of, I think it's a bit antiquated. If you want to be like, I guess if you want to be like a morning show host on a major market station, you need to have receipts of how you delivered ratings and whatever in your audience. But outside of that, there's plenty of other jobs outside of being, Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club or Angie Martinez. What I mean? There's a lot of jobs in media that you can do without traveling around the country looking for work. Do you feel that radio and the media industry for your job is like, something you still want to pursue, or you're happy where you are right now?
I'm glad you brought that up as far as like saying you have to move somewhere, because I spoke to a lot of radio vets. I'm not gonna say any names because I'm just not there yet.
That's fine.
But a lot of them told me that they like my stuff, they like what I'm doing. They just feel like I'm a risk because my name isn't as big in New York. I should go to an Atlanta, I should go to Texas, I should go to somewhere else to kind of build my way up. But then like I met other people that kind of didn't have that type of leeway. Like they may have had a more advanced, like who and so it was definitely mixed answers. When I came down here, I really thought that I was going to have in the bag because of my New York experience. And I've learned that a lot of people in the radio down here kind of hire within, as far as like, who they know and networking. Like they want somebody from Atlanta because they know Atlanta. So I'm just like, damn, like, wait, can I curse on here?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn, like I came down here because I felt like my New York experience would be like really great. And they were just like, nah, we kind of want someone more, who knows the city, this and that. So I'm just like, well, fuck. Like in New York, they're saying move. In Atlanta, they want their own people. But if the cards work out the way I think they're going to work out, I think that I'm going to get something in my field in New York. If it works out, it's just, I think I had to take a year off of that to really focus on myself and realize that humbling me, if I'm being honest. Humbling me, and I think that this move really made me more hungry for the game and the experience, because I'll tell you kind of off camera the shit I've been through, but man, it's been rough. Whether it's radio, whether it's the no's, whether it's who I'm meeting. But to answer your question at the end, I definitely want to continue in radio and branch off in television and produce and stuff like that. So, come back to New York. I'm just more hungry to really let the people know that I'm here to stay and I'm not going to be ran off that easily.
Speaking of TV, I heard your cameo on our mutual friend Malcolm Smith's show,
Malcolm.
Butch Queen Energy. Yeah, big shout out to Malcolm Smith. He's been on the show many times, like you. So I heard your cameo. I thought it was phenomenal. And he was in the Uber. And then there you are on the Fresh Movement right there on the dial. I thought that was amazing. And so how did Malcolm approach you to do this show?
I mean, Malcolm is dope. Malcolm could tell me to just jump and I'm going to do it because it's just Malcolm. So I just, he liked what I was doing. Me and Malcolm talk all the time. And I wanted to like play a role, but I'm not in New York. So it kind of just, this was easier. It was able to me to just like kind of have fun with it. But, season 2, I wanted something more, Malcolm. So definitely, reach out to me for season 2 because that show was amazing. So shout out to
fantastic.
Is it Butch Queen Energy?
Yeah.
BQE
this year. Yes. I call it a bunch of things. I don't think Malcolm would care. I call it either BQE or Butch Queen Energy or BQE, Butch Queen Energy.
Phenomenal show.
Yeah. It's a great show, nonetheless.
Great show.
Did Malcolm give you a script, or did he kind of let you? Yeah,
he gave me a script, but also be myself. So it was kind of just reading what he wrote and then putting my Lamark flair on it. So just being creative with it.
Do you want to act? Is that something you want to pursue?
I don't know, man. I personally want to get my name out there more and then see what happens. But I just feel like with acting, it's just a lot of lines. And I don't know, man. I'm a Cancer. I get emotional already. So I don't need to be sad just because I need to be for a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy for me to get sad. So I don't need a job to make me sad. So
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, I can't, depict the future. So whatever happens.
Yeah, I actually I did a shoot for like an indie film, but like my role didn't like make the final cut or whatever. But like it's really fun because I was kind of like you. I was playing like an announcer,
Right.
which is not like far from what I do.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. Like if I don't know about you, but like I would take any opportunity to do whatever as long as it makes sense for me.
If it makes sense, that it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, right. So with the Fresh Movement, right? Last time we talked, the Fresh Movement was a radio show live, but at the same time, it kind of was a podcast in a way because you put it on Mixcloud after it airs. Because I know I've listened to if I miss it live, I'll listen to it on Mixcloud.
Which I don't think no one was even doing that. But no shade. But people wasn't even doing that. But yeah.
I was doing. I did that in college and whatever. I would put some, and when I did community radio, I would definitely do that. So it just makes sense. But what made you want to evolve the Fresh Movement from a radio on the air show to just a podcast distributed on all platforms, not just on Mixcloud or wherever?
If I'm being honest, I didn't really want to. Like, I really did like the radio aspect because I like having music played in the show because I feel like it's a chance to escape. Like I can't sing, but I use the music in my show to kind of like, if I was an artist, that's how my, vibe would be. So that's kind of like my playlist with me talking. But when I got the chance to move down here, the station I was on they wouldn't allow me to have it on the station if I moved down here. So I had to quit that station and turn to podcasts. And that's actually the real reason, because they just wouldn't allow me to keep doing the show as a radio station if I moved to Atlanta.
Yeah, like I remember when I was just starting to formulate this podcast, I was skeptical like you at first because I liked playing music. My whole thing was like showing people here's the thing that I'm talking about. But I find the solace in talking about it and talking to the people who make it. So it was an easy transition. It was an easy evolution. But your show is very topical. I think it's very interesting that you kind of like the music as well. Because I remember talking to Malcolm back in the day about radios, like, it's all about the topic and the discussion. But I think it's cool that you kind of made it. I think it works as I've always thought of it as that.
Everyone, honestly, it breaks my heart because people love it as a podcast and as a radio show. I think people forget that I'm pretty shy. Like, I mean, we had kind of have that brother bond as far as WKRB, but I was pretty shy. Like, I didn't really, I get on the mic and kind of come into my own, but when I'm off the mic, I'm pretty just, I like to just be chill. And the radio show kind of gave me I got 5 minutes to say what I really want to say than music. You know what I'm saying? With the podcast, I'm on. I really have to dive in and really say my feelings. And sometimes, I don't really want to do that, but here we are.
But I think with the beauty of the podcasting as a medium is that, well, when you're on the radio, you really have to hold back what you say because of FCC regulations.
Exactly.
So with podcasting, it doesn't exist unless you want a certain sponsor. Then you're kind of you'll clean it up a little bit. But me, I don't want to edit myself or anything, my guests or anything like that. I do not want to do that. So I think it just works. It depends on who you are. But do you feel like the medium of podcasting served you and the Fresh Movement the right way?
Absolutely. I think that people were able to see a piece of me that they haven't seen on radio. And I think that's why so many people connect to the podcast more than radio version, because we just didn't give a fuck. If I'm being honest, at this point, I was I'm sitting at home. I'd lost my job at iHeart. I don't know what my next meal is. And I have this mic. So fuck it. It might as well just be a podcast because here we are. I'm doing it in my room. That was my true authentic self. I'm not saying my radio show wasn't my authentic self, but it kind of had bits and pieces. It was kind of pre-recorded sometimes, but the podcast is real shit. It's real shit. And I definitely think that podcast is here to stay because a lot of people just like they can kind of relate. And I mean, I fuck with it. So
Yeah. You know, it's a good medium for you. I think video is a great medium for you because I see some of the videos you put on socials to promote the fresh movement.
right.
And I think it works. It definitely works well for you. So
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think, you know, even though you're ending the show, but I
Right.
feel like, you know, you want to
May
transition to
31st.
TV. Yeah, I think it's gonna work well for you.
May
So
31st. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's good. No,
So that's
yeah,
the
you're
last
fine.
show.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, like, so what made you ultimately decide to put an end to it?
I like to cut at even number. I like to add I'm saying it wrong. I like to end things at the right numbers. And I started the show May 31st because Kingsborough had that what was it? It was Freeform Friday, was it?
Yes.
Or something. That's when it started. So I was like, okay, I'm about to move back to New York. I don't want to have the fresh movement on me right now. I want to see what else I can do. And I've never done anything else than the fresh movement for 8 years. So I was like, let me just end it here. I'm moving my co-host. I live with my co-host. So I feel like we can just end it here and see what I have to, you know, offer the world. But the fresh movement, I love it. I have it tattooed on me. Right for you, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, great logo too.
Thank you. But it's, you know, I think it's just time. It's been 8 years, and I think that it served its purpose. It got the guests that I wanted, and it got some of the sponsors I wanted. And I just feel like it's time. It's okay to know when to let go.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Is it because that you want to focus yourself on other things and focus on yourself, like you said, or like you said, it's just a numbers thing? Okay, we did this many episodes, let's just kind of stop.
It's a kind of both. Like, it's a little bit of both. It's definitely a numbers thing because I feel like it's really dope that I can end it on his birthday, because that to me is just, you know, dope. But it's also like, all right, Lamark, you've been doing this since you were like 19, 20, and you're about to be 27. So like, what else could you do that's just not require the fresh movement? Because honestly, I'm tired of saying, hey y'all, the fresh movement, like it gets repetitive. And I feel like I wasn't having fun. And I was like, when I'm not having fun doing it, doesn't make me want to do it anymore. So I kind of want to, you know, branch off and see what happens next. Who knows? The freshman may come back in 5 years or something, maybe a totally different spin on things. But I definitely want to give it its restful piece right now as a hiatus, and just do, you know, just end it off nicely and figure out what else I have to do for the world. I have some projects coming up soon in New York that I'm really excited for. I can't really announce anything yet because it's still in the works. But I just think it's time. I feel it in my heart. And I feel like the things that I'll be doing in New York, I can't do the fresh movement at the same time.
Yeah, I had a very similar conversation with a friend of mine who's a musician, and she had a radio show and she just ended it. And it's just, if you're not enjoying it, if you're not having fun, that's when you stop. Because then you're just you're gonna phone it in. It's gonna be terrible, and your listeners are gonna feel that too. They can tell when you're like, okay, he doesn't give a shit anymore, and you don't want to ever do that. So I think it's great that you know when to just stop, and it's kind of safe to say you're burnt out.
Right. It's been 8 years.
Yeah, yeah.
8 years. That's a long ass time.
Anything projects that you're working on that are just, you know, on the horizon and not like, you know, just down the road that you're looking to focus yourself on? I
mean, right now everything is in the works.
Yeah.
But you know, this radio game and this entertainment game is really tricky sometimes. Like, sometimes you have it in the bag. It's been situations where I've toured a whole radio station. They made me shadow somebody and I still did not get the job. So I'm just, you know, I'll definitely hit you. When I get it, I'll text you personally and let you know. Yeah. But you know, I'm just trying to let God take its place, and whatever happens meant to happen, and that's just that.
And the content creation game can wear you down, I know personally.
Right.
So I know, like last year, I kind of took maybe a month off or a few weeks off, especially away from social media.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, because I got to be honest, like every week when I post a new episode, when I have to like promote it on social media, I get like anxious, and I just feel like, oh boy, I have to face this app again. Like it's really, you really have to step away from it for a while. Yeah, because
it's your art, and then now you're putting it on social media for everybody to tear it down and give opinions. And
there's that too.
It's just so shitty. And the fact that I work with people with social media, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's safe to say you need a vacation.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I didn't drink, but
Oh well, there you go.
yeah. But,
So in Atlanta, right? What do you where do you hang if you are hanging out? Because I don't know, some people are nervous about COVID. So if you and Cha-Cha are going out, what are you guys doing? Where do you go?
I mean, our schedules are so different because of our like where she like I'm getting home while she's going to work and vice versa. So we're like up and down. But I can say the club I've been to that was been dope has been Bulldogs. Bulldogs has been cool. It's like an LGBTQ bar down here. It's been really nice. What else I want to? The Vortex is cool as far as food. Like Vortex is cool, but honestly, man, I just go to work, do my content, and go home because people are nuts nowadays, and I don't have the time.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So,
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
When I was in Atlanta, generally speaking, I didn't use a car. I just kind of walked everywhere. Is that accurate for your experience? Like, do you need a car to get around?
Yeah, nah. I live in Norcross, so like I'm like 25 minutes from the city, and I work in Kennesaw, and that's like 40 minutes from the city. So I definitely have to drive.
Yeah. All right. I'm so glad you're employed and you're kind of moving on and you kind of understand where you're going and you know when to stop so you don't get burnt, you don't burn yourself out. Right. But the final show is May 31st, right? May
31st. I don't know what time it's gonna come out, but May 31st. I mean, I'm gonna make it 2 hours. And yeah, man. I hope I don't cry because I'm a thug. So hopefully I don't cry. But it's my baby, and I'm really proud that it got this long because I thought it was gonna end after Freeform Friday. If I'm being completely honest with you, I thought I was not gonna get greenlit. It was gonna be that.
Well, you know, like it's your creation, so it's always gonna be there when you want to use it.
Right.
So it's not really a sad occasion. You're just kind of putting it away for a while, and then you're focusing on other things. So that's really cool. And the Fresh Movement you can get wherever you get podcasts. And Lamark, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. You're always welcome. And please plug away the Fresh Movement socials and all that good stuff.
Yes, make sure you guys follow me at Lamark_Fresh on Instagram, Twitter, and follow the Fresh Movement on Instagram and Facebook. And Peter, thank you so much for having me on your platform. Like, you have been so dope, and just seeing what you're doing with your podcast, like, I appreciate it, man. Like, it's really dope. And I don't know, I feel like the Kingsborough bond we got is just like everybody from there has just been so great. And I really, you know, it's great to see that everybody's winning in their own way. It's really dope.
Yeah, everybody's creating, like, yeah, because I remember doing shows and like Freeform Friday, just hanging around listening to what people are doing, and it was all really interesting and cool. And the thing is, I always wanted to differentiate myself from people. We talked about this last time, and I'm listening to what people are doing. I'm like, I don't want to like bite nobody. It was almost like I'm a rapper and hanging out with other rappers, ciphering, and like, I don't want to bite nobody. So I'm like, I want to do things my way. But like, you know, listening to Malcolm's show and your show, I'm like, okay, these people are so creative in what they do, and they're finding themselves. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna do that, apply that to what I'm doing. It was always so cool. And especially now, like with Chad and Vicky, what they're doing with QSTV and Malcolm with BQE and you with the Fresh Movement and whatever else you got planned. It's amazing to see that. It's awesome. We come from a great cloth.
We do. We definitely do.
All right. Thank you so much, Lamark.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.